Welcome back. Joining me with more insight on the day's trade is David Shapiro from Sasfin Securities. David, thanks so much for joining me today. Now, the Fed is on everyone's mind. We are, expecting those rate cuts come the 17th of September. And I can imagine the tough balancing act the central bank has to do. I mean, on one hand, you have a cooling labor market. Then on the other hand, we have inflation where we haven't started seeing the full impact of those tariffs.
Well, that's the whole dilemma.
Yeah.
And no one quite knows how to interpret it or to use it. And that's why you've got the confusion in the market, because there is a strong belief that inflation is still going to stay high or tick higher. On the other hand, as you say, we've got the soft labor data. And that's a worry, because that's beginning to build up. And this is the softest job market that America's seen since the pandemic. It's months of under 100,000 gains in jobs. So still, despite that, there's still a very strong view that there will be 25 points, and if not, 50 points. And I think that's keeping the market ticking higher. But you did right. On the other hand, you've still got lingering at the back of your mind higher inflation. So no one's ever sure how Powell's going to react, And I think the one thing that really angers him is this pressure that's coming from Donald Trump, this badgering. And, he doesn't stop that he needs to, and insulting along the way. So, if you're confused, I'm confused, everybody's confused. It's a very difficult situation to see through or to really understand or grasp.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, David. Uncertainty remains the name of the game. Just on the back of the softer jobs market, have we started seeing that filtering through to the U.S. consumer? Because when you talk U.S. consumer, all you hear is resilience, resilience, resilience.
Well, that's the dilemma. The U.S. economy is not falling over.
Yeah.
It's still growing at a very decent, robust rate. It might not be where we want it, and there are certain soft areas, particularly on the housing side, and that's because mortgage rates are too high. But there are a lot of issues that we still don't understand about the tariffs and about the policies of Trump, particularly where it comes to workers, immigration workers. So to be fair, no one's put a coherent model through and say, this is what's happening. It's all grasping at little pieces of information. But, the best thing is just, okay, we don't know what's happening. Let's just look at corporate results. And so far, the corporate results have been pretty good. Markets have been holding up. There's no sense that, markets are going to go down. And even our market is holding up incredibly well. And I can say the same for European and UK markets. I'm talking the stock market. There is a disconnect between the markets and the actual real economy underneath that. But that happens.
Also, let's shift gears then to an industry where we know there will be growth over the next years. That is the tech sector, right? So there's talk around OpenAI partnering up with Broadcom to launch an AI chip next year. Would this, lessen its reliance on NVIDIA?
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows who's going to win this eventual battle. And which chips are going to dominate and be at the forefront. Broadcom is their results were very strong. They're in a slightly different area to NVIDIA. Each has got to dominate in particular areas in which they're strong. And AI itself is a very broad subject. So I think, look, there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
And Broadcom, if you've watched that company, it is now, in terms of market capitalization, is number 7 in the S&P 500, at a 1.4 trillion. In fact, it's probably 1.5, when the market opens up. So it is a big company, and it's making very powerful chips in the various areas. But there's so many different areas around AI. NVIDIA has to maintain its dominance, and I think that's going to be the challenge for Jensen Huang, because everybody's nipping at his heels. wanting to steal his market. And the success of NVIDIA will be around whether Jensen Huang can actually maintain that dominance. But I don't know. I'm not technically advanced enough, but that's going to be the challenge. Will he be replaced like once we saw Intel and we've seen, Cisco and all those big companies fall by the wayside? At the end of the day, it comes down to the science. It comes down to management and science. So for the meantime, NVIDIA is still holding off its competition, just like Liverpool. We all want to beat Liverpool, and they continue to maintain their dominance. So.
All right. And talking about dominance, what's dominant on your mind? What are you picking today as your stock pick?
You got me by surprise. I just came here as a guest. Somebody let you down, and you just suddenly phoned me up and said, appear on the show. So I'm trying to think where I'm still a big fan of AI, and I certainly don't think it's time to get rid of it. What I did pick on Wednesday night was Ryan Natal, which is a defense stock, and simply because I think that's going to be another theme that's going to continue the huge amount of money that's going to be spent on defense in Europe. And I laugh because I looked at the Mr. Xi's parade of all that hardware, and I said there are going to be so many countries that also want those kind of toys, and they're going to be very envious. But I think for me, it's a theme away from where we're talking that is still going to be something that we've got to look into. And NATO and the NATO countries have got to spend. So just watch that, watch that area.
So you are betting on defense spending. David, let's leave it there. Thanks so much. Yeah?
No, I said that's not my best, to think that we buy bombs and rockets and ammunition. But we can't ignore that. And the best way we can defend it is to say, yes, this is for country's defense.
Yes.
Not that they're going to attack anybody.
Yes.
We'll leave that to Russia.
Ooh, okay. All right. Let's leave it there, David. Thank you so much for your time and insights today. And that was David Shapiro from Sasfin Securities.